On the career playoff assist list. His name is LeBron James.
Hey, LeBron, Mike Trudell back in LA. Just wondering what stood out the most to you when you went through the film last night?
Our turnovers. Our turnovers really killed us. We understand that we can't turn the ball over versus this team. And we also had some breakdowns defensively throughout the course of the game that we're not accustomed to having. So those will be cleaned up in Game 4.
Tanya?
LeBron, you guys have responded pretty well after losses in the playoffs so far. I'm wondering if there's a common theme between those different times, and are you seeing that same kind of mentality now?
We're able to, to take a loss and understand why we lost, understand things that we should have done better, and things that we can apply to the next game to be better. And we're right back at that moment once again with the opportunity to be better than we were in the game before. So look forward to the opportunity tomorrow night.
Hey, LeBron, kind of along those lines, specifically with Anthony, when he's had off nights or what have you, he's always responded in a really big way. And he's talked about you always kind of knowing how to approach him between or after a night he struggled. What's your approach been with him today, and how and what do you expect from him tomorrow?
I expect him to be 80. And I'm looking forward to getting out on the floor with him once again tomorrow night.
Alicia, you guys can go ahead.
All right, Dave.
You've been in the finals 10 times now. You've been up in series, you've been down in series. What's it like to process the time off in between games coming off a loss?
It's pretty much the same coming off a win for me. So the series is completed. I kind of stay on edge, stay locked in on the job at hand. And obviously no one wants to ever lose. You hate that feeling, especially when you didn't play your best. And I definitely wasn't at my best last night from an individual standpoint. So I take that responsibility, and I take that with a lot of a lot of passion and understanding of how I can be much better, in the following game. But throughout the postseason, I'll stay even keeled. As I've grown in this game and I've grown over the years, I kind of stay even keeled and understanding that there's always another opportunity to get better, and we have that opportunity today and also tomorrow night in the game.
Kyle.
I have an off-court question. When you think of all you have going on, you're wearing a More Than a Vote shirt right now. In terms of trying to influence change, thinking back 8 years ago when you wore those hoodies as a statement about Trayvon Martin, what are the biggest things you've learned about impacting change off the court? And is there advice you, in this moment now, would have given yourself 8 years ago when you kind of started this journey?
That you can't get caught up in what everybody else think, because everyone's not going to always agree with your movement. Everyone's not going to agree with your words. Everyone's not going to agree with your passion. Everyone's not going to always agree with why you're doing it and things of that nature. But if you're true to it, it hits home and it hits the heart, then it shouldn't matter. And it doesn't, because you have the knowledge, you have the passion, you have the support to be able to shed light on situations that you feel are either unjust or wrong. And there's a thing called common sense, and the difference between right and wrong. It's something I've always grew up on. My mother always, told me, being able to understand the difference between right and wrong and notice it and being able to, have that feeling. So, to sit back and think 8 years ago when we sat in Detroit in the ballroom, as a part of the Miami Heat team, and we all decided to put our hoodies on, in a reflection and a remembrance of Trayvon Martin and that tragic incident. We knew that it was going to be uncomfortable to a lot of people, but we didn't care because we understood how much it hit home for us and a lot of our guys having sons of their own, and could imagine if our kid was to leave home and not return. So I think that's what it boils down to.
Last three questions here. Gary?
LeBron, in terms of talking to opponents on the floor, are you a guy who just responds to trash talk? Do you initiate it? And as your status has moved up in the league, has it changed? Have different players said different things, or do they not want to talk to you because they don't want to get you going? How does that kind of equation go?
No, I've always been a guy to kind of let his game do the talking. But when guys get to talking, I can do that as well. But I've always tried to let my game do the talking. Some guys are, like to talk their way through the basketball game. I think it helps them out personally. There's always communication going on the floor. For me personally, as long as they don't get disrespectful, I'm fine with it. But I've never really started up a trash talking dialogue. That's just not me. I believe the way I play the game is enough trash talking in itself.
Dan?
LeBron, from just like a strategy standpoint, Bam is a type of big who is obviously a really great playmaker, but he doesn't space the floor so much with his shooting. The guys that Miami's played at the position now, Myers and Olynyk, both do. How different does that force you guys to be defensively? You talked probably about watching those defensive breakdowns last night. I imagine spacing had something to do with a couple of them.
I think it all boils down to no matter who's in the lineup for those guys, they're a great team. And it's just that simple. And they're going to put you in positions that may feel uncomfortable, that will be uncomfortable throughout the course of 48 minutes, and we have to be able to adjust. There's things that Myers and Kelly does that Bam doesn't do, but we all can also understand there's things that Bam does that not too many guys in this league can do. So they create different challenges depending on who's out on the floor. But when there's 5 guys on the floor for the Miami Heat, they're going to play how they play. They're going to move the ball. They're going to move with pace. They're going to share the ball. They got guys that can get into the paint. They got guys that can shoot threes. They got guys that command double teams and things of that nature. So it doesn't matter who's out on the floor for them. They're going to be playing at a high level because they're that's just the way they are. And they're extremely well coached from top to bottom.
The last two questions, one here and then one on Zoom. So, Tim?
Bron, you've always prided yourself on playing the right way, but you still have those moments like the fourth quarter against Denver and the closeout game where you're like, this is going to end now, and you go to that place. Jimmy parallels you in that regard, in that he doesn't want to have the ball in his hands every possession. He wants to get other guys involved. And then you saw last night what he ends up doing. Are you in that space yet where you think you might have to go that tack to close this thing out and go to that fourth quarter Bron against Denver mode like we've seen so many times from you in the past, or are you not there yet?
I've never predetermined my game plan throughout my whole career. I've never went to a game saying, okay, I need to score 40 tonight. I need to dominate in the scoring facet, things of that nature. I need to make big shots. I've never predetermined my game throughout my whole life. I've never done that. The one thing I've always been prepared. And if you're prepared, then whatever the game, however the course happened, you're able to make adjustments throughout the game. You're able to impact the game because you're prepared and you've put in the work. It's just that simple for me. I think anytime I've ever, thought about, okay, I'm gonna go out and try to do this, then it doesn't happen that way. The game has too many things that can happen throughout the course of the game and throughout the course of a quarter, or possessions here and possessions there, where you can try to plan for it, but audibles happen in the football sense. So the best thing I can tell you is that I'm always prepared, and I know that I've put in the work. So I trust that.
Will, your last question on Zoom, please?
Right, yeah, last one from me, Mark Stein.
Hey, LeBron, I was just curious. Early in the pandemic, you mentioned that your body was kind of in shock, that you were rounding towards third base for the playoffs, and then you had to stop. All these months later, how would you say your body has responded to all that?
I'm in great shape. I bounced back extremely well in between games, and I could play right now if we had to play right now at a high level.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone on Zoom. Will, thank you.
Thank you.